Mr. Sedano explains his reason for being in court. He doubts the paternity of Ms. Ramirez's 1.5-month-old daughter, Aislinn, suspecting a paternity trap to lure him back. This sets the stage for the case, highlighting the tension and the stakes involved. Just when you think it can't get more intense, it does. Stay tuned for what's next.
You are seeking the results of a paternity test for Ms. Ramirez's 1.5-month-old daughter, Aislinn. You claim you two broke up and now you have no feelings for Ms. Ramirez whatsoever. You say she's claiming you are her baby's father in a fraudulent attempt to try to get you to come back to her.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any more dramatic, Ms. Ramirez admits to a jaw-dropping method of proving infidelity to Mr. Sedano's girlfriend by making a call during an intimate moment. This revelation heightens the drama and illustrates the complex, strained relationships among the parties involved. Brace yourself. The saga continues, and it's even more outrageous.
I texted her first, and I told her that I was gonna sleep. I told her that I was gonna sleep with him, and she told me to prove it. So when we were having sex, I called her on the phone so that she could hear.
What? You got on the phone with his girlfriend?
Yes.
I gotta get this. You said, I'm gonna have sex with my ex, which is your current boyfriend.
Yeah, because
She said proof. So the way you decided to prove it was
by calling her to let her, so that she can hear it for herself.
Guess what comes out of the woodwork now? Mr. Sedano confesses to repeatedly sleeping with Ms. Ramirez, despite being in another relationship and having doubts about the paternity of Aislinn. This ongoing infidelity and the chaotic interpersonal dynamics underscore the complexity of the situation. But wait, there's more chaos to come.
just that one day?
No,
one day.
it's been consistent.
Only one day.
Last few years, we've been sleeping together.
5 to 4 of the guys that she sleeps with daily, so I mean...
I don't sleep with any.
Are you submitting to this court that you've only slept with Ms. Ramirez one time since you've been in the relationship with your current
No, this is
girlfriend?
since
I keep track of my monthly cycle. I know when we slept together. We slept together just a
Not
few
since
weeks
I've
ago.
been back from Atlanta. No.
Really?
And just when you think you've seen it all, the court discusses a provocative text message that indicates Ms. Ramirez's intent to get pregnant by Mr. Sedano, potentially as a form of retaliation or manipulation. This moment reveals the depth of planning and potential deceit in the relationship. The next twist is just around the corner, and it's a doozy.
3 minutes later, she's pregnant.
So you heard through the grapevine, through a friend, that she was setting you up.
Yeah, he showed me the text. Pretty much, I'm gonna get Michael to have another kid with me. Well, I just had a kid with my girlfriend a month prior to her baby that she just had.
So you got a baby by your current girlfriend.
Yes.
Here's the big reveal everyone's been waiting for. The paternity test results are revealed.
When it comes to 1.5-month-old Aislinn, Mr. Sedano, you are her father.
I told you. Now you can't deny her. She's your kid.
You won't believe how this starts. The story begins with Ms. Wilson openly admitting to an affair with a married man, Mr. McKnight, and she's more than upset. He's denying their 1-year-old daughter, Shakira. She thinks their hidden romance should lead to him leaving his wife. As she pushes for this big change, get ready because the courtroom is about to heat up.
Ms. Wilson, you admit to an affair with a married man, and now you are furious that he's denying your 1-year-old daughter, Shakira. You say your relationship with Mr. McKnight may have been a secret, but your daughter isn't, and once you prove he's the father, you want him to leave his wife and go home with you.
Strap in for more chaos. Mr. McKnight, alongside his wife, stands firm, admitting to falling into temptation, but strongly denies being Shakira's father. He suggests other men could be the father due to Ms. Wilson's relationships. Trust me, the story thickens even more from here.
You are in court today with your wife, and you testified you fell victim to temptation, but you weren't the only man. And you are 100% certain you are not Shakira's biological father. So, Ms. Wilson, explain why today's results are so important to you.
Because my daughter is not a secret, and she needs to know her other siblings.
And the roller coaster continues. Ms. Wilson explains why today's DNA results are crucial for her. She reveals their affair began when she returned his lost wallet. But don't go anywhere, because what happens next is even more shocking.
How did this start?
I was coming in to cash my check, and I seen a wallet on the floor, and I picked the wallet up, and I seen his ID, and it said Ramon McKnight. I said, I seen him at the job. So when I seen him at the job, I handed him his wallet. And so after that, I seen him numerous times, and then he just asked me for my number.
Oh, so it started off as a good Samaritan.
Yes.
And once that happened, it started communication.
Yes.
Here's where it gets spicy. From a simple act of kindness to secret hotel meetups, Ms. Wilson describes how returning a wallet led to late-night chats. Mr. McKnight shifted from being a damsel in distress to a Casanova, despite being married. Oh, but wait, there's more drama ahead.
And did he say to you, I'm married?
He was keep telling me like he was tired of his wife.
I never said that.
Yes, Your Honor, he did. He told me he was tired of her. She
So
don't
he
cook.
told you he was married, but he
Yes.
said, I'm tired of my wife.
Yes.
Your Honor, may I
Yes.
say something, please?
That's what they all say.
Your Honor.
Yes, that's what he told me. He
Your
told me he
Honor.
was tired of her. She don't cook. All she do is be home, watch the kids. She not trying to work. She not trying to help me provide with children.
Cue the plot twist. Mrs. McKnight, the betrayed wife, steps up to challenge Ms. Wilson's story, pointing out inconsistencies between private phone calls and court statements. Things quickly get very complicated. Buckle up because the emotional fireworks are just starting.
What she just said in here in court, that's not what she told me. She was the one who initiated contact. When Miss Wilson contacted me, she said that my husband and her and some other co-workers were all pretty much powwowing.
Me and Raymond was having sex every day. Every day we get off of work, he was coming to have sex with me.
Where?
day.
At your house?
At my house, at a room, in the car he bought her.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, the argument heats up as Mrs. McKnight questions Ms. Wilson's decision to continue the affair, knowing Mr. McKnight was married. As Mrs. McKnight fights for her children's right to know their siblings, the courtroom braces for the next bombshell.
Had multiple sex in that truck too as well. So let's come on, boo-boo, let's not get it twisted. Your man be sleeping with me every night. And when he lying to you, calling you, saying he's doing overtime, he's with me.
Is that something you proud of?
No, I'm just letting her know the truth. These are the facts.
See, yes, I am legally married to my husband, and that's why I'm standing by him right now. But as a woman, I don't have to go back and forth with Miss Wilson. I don't have to try to degrade her. I felt like some adult in this position needed to be responsible.
Can you handle what's next? Attention turns back to Mr. McKnight, the man caught in the middle. His tangled testimony begins to fall apart, revealing the workplace gossip and peer pressure that fueled the affair. Don't move an inch. The revelations are about to get even more intense.
As a married man at your job, supposed to be minding the business that pays you,
Yes, ma'am.
that you end up trying to sleep with Miss Wilson.
It started, as she said, she did find my wallet, but it was a coworker that used to work with us. And he was telling me like, man, you should try to get her.
Did someone say drama overload? The story circles back to the sneaky details of the affair, with Ms. Wilson and Mr. McKnight sharing their not-so-secret encounters. This segment dives deep into the murky waters of deceit and casual flings. But hold on, there's another twist coming.
You trying to say that Miss Wilson was promiscuous?
Yes, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor, like I said, when I found his wallet, he was very flirtatious. Buy me Skittles, Pops, leaving there for me.
Where did you all go to have sex?
He paid for it, hotels, my house, his car he got her that she got repo, and the truck.
I never been with her in my truck.
Brace yourself for the climax. As the episode nears its conclusion, the stakes are higher with emotional and legal consequences fully displayed.
But clearly that didn't work because you're here.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
What happened?
He was coming to my department, always helping me, always flirting with me, always talking to me. I said, Ramon, look, it is what it is. I'm done with you. He like, I'm gonna get you back. One day I was bending over to go put the boxes on the pallet, and Ramon came behind me and bumped his on me. He was like, I'm gonna get you back.
That never happened.
Yes, Your Honor, it has happened.
That
Yes.
never happened.
This segment kicks off the drama-packed case of Wiggins versus Davis. Mr. Wiggins steps into the courtroom, ready to drop a bombshell. He's contesting paternity, claiming the test results will turn his world upside down. He's here to prove he's not the father of Ms. Davis's child, Aubrey Wiggins. Watch how this shakes out next.
Mr. Wiggins, you are here in court to prove that you are not the father of Ms. Davis' child, Aubrey Wiggins, and say today's result will change your life. Ms. Davis, you claim that Mr. Wiggins knows he's the father of your child and is trying to deny her, already has 3 children, and doesn't want to step up and be a father.
You'll never guess what he says next. Mr. Wiggins dives into the juicy details of his personal turmoil, revealing how the paternity accusation cost him his marriage. He's desperate to clear his name and win back his family after a separation that sent him spiraling. Keep your eyes peeled for what he spills next.
Being alleged the father of Aubrey, I lost my wife and I want to regain my family.
Lost your family? You were married at the time? Explain.
Yes, Your Honor, I was married and me and my wife went through a separation due to a rough patch. Through my separation, I became a little antsy, I guess for lack of better terms.
Here's where it gets spicy. Mr. Wiggins spills the beans on how the affair began with Ms. Davis, who was conveniently working for his relative. It was supposed to be a no-strings-attached fling, but oh boy, did it morph into a full-blown soap opera. You won't want to miss what's coming up.
Approached her, was never supposed to be anything else more than just sex.
No.
But you didn't use
We was
protection.
together for almost 2 years and a half.
We was never together.
Almost 2.5 years?
Yes, sir.
It just, it kind of went longer than it should have.
Your hope is that if you can prove that Aubrey is not your biological child, that you can convince your ex-wife, which, you know, the woman, I guess she left because of this situation.
Yes, ma'am.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, Ms. Davis throws a curveball, insisting Mr. Wiggins had dreams of a picket fence future with her, totally smashing his casual fling narrative. The clash of their stories just adds more fuel to this fiery drama. Wait till you hear what's next.
He stated that multiple times.
Was he telling you there was going to be a future?
Yes, he wanted to get a divorce from his wife.
No,
he wanted
Your
to be
Honor.
with me.
No, Your Honor.
Were you still trying to work it out with your wife? You were sleeping with Ms. Davis?
I was. That's also the reason why I have a child that's 2 months
Apart.
younger with my wife.
They were pregnant at the same time, your wife and your mistress.
Right.
They were, Your Honor.
Grab your popcorn, folks. Mr. Wiggins admits he was playing the field, sweet-talking Ms. Davis to keep the affair alive. The crowd's reaction? Priceless jeering. He's weaving a web of lies that's just getting messier. The next revelation will have your jaw on the floor.
You are a married man.
was.
You sleeping with this girl. You approached her, pursued her.
Not 2.5 years.
It was 2.5.
We did sleep around for months, but it wasn't 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
How did your wife find out?
Miss Davis told her that she was pregnant and that she wasn't going anywhere. She inboxed her on Facebook, which
Right.
caused a lot of havoc in my life.
You wasn't gonna be a man.
It caused the havoc, or did you cause the
He
havoc?
did, cause right.
Hold on to your seats. It's a wild ride. The paternity saga gets juicier as Mr. Wiggins recounts a misunderstanding about another man that casts serious doubt on the paternity of Aubrey. Discoveries about secretive chats crank up the drama to 11. Fasten your seatbelt for the fallout.
Decides that he wants to go through my phone, found a little statement about me and the guy
it's
talking.
more than that, Your Honor. Let's back it up a little. Yes, we did intend to plan Valentine's Day together. However, prior to us going to the hotel, we got into a bit of an altercation. I don't remember the exact details. And my family member seen her be picked up by another guy.
That was my cousin.
That she claims to be her cousin.
Did you see that twist coming? The plot thickens over a disputed birth certificate, suggesting sneaky shenanigans with the paperwork. This pivotal scene could change everything about Mr. Wiggins' claim. The suspense is building, and you'll want to see what explodes next.
Did you have doubt when she initially told you she was pregnant?
No.
Absolutely.
No, you didn't.
The birth certificate, you know, I was at the hospital.
You were?
I were. Not when the
signed it.
birth certificate was signed. I can show you.
Is this the exhibit you brought
It
today?
is.
I'd like to see it.
I'm educated enough to know my own birthday. This is the birth certificate. Apparently she knew my name. This is the birth date that's listed on Aubrey's birth certificate. My birthday is November the 9th, 1990.
The one
this,
you wrote.
11/11/1990.
And
I
you
didn't
wrote
write
it.
anything.
And the plot thickens. On the eve of the court showdown, both Mr. Wiggins and Ms. Davis confess to still mixing business with pleasure, despite the chaos it's caused. This bombshell hints at deeper emotional ties and a whole lot of unresolved issues. The climax is up next, and it's a doozy.
It's been a while.
Last night.
No. Your Honor, we was at separate hotels. No, Your Honor, that's not true.
And you made your way to my hotel.
That is not true,
Right.
Your Honor. We did go to dinner, Your Honor, but
And afterwards?
I went to my respective places. She
No,
went
he
to
came
hers.
to my room.
Mr. Wiggins, you look like you lying.
No, because
Get ready for the big reveal. The DNA results are finally in.
Mr. Wiggins, you are the father.
Can you handle what's unfolding? The introduction not only sets the stage, but throws down the gauntlet for a family drama that's nothing short of a soap opera. 3 adults, 2 mothers, and 1 elusive defendant are at the heart of this paternity battle, each armed with their own high-stakes emotional baggage. And if you think that's juicy, just wait until you see what's next.
3 different adults with 2 different mothers brought the same defendant to court today in an effort to prove paternity. Mr. Heron and Mr. Medley, you are here to Mr. Medley Sr. that you are indeed his son.
Things are starting to simmer now. Judge Lake steps up to bat, addressing the high-tension claims from Mr. Heron and Mr. Medley, who are both on a mission to prove their paternity, while Ms. Johnson is all about proving that the defendant, who shockingly claimed ignorance of her existence, is indeed her father. As the tension mounts, the courtroom buzzes with anticipation. Strap in, because the roller coaster is just getting started.
You grew up without a father for 26 years and claimed when you finally found the defendant, he claimed he didn't know you existed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Medley Sr., you say the results of today's paternity test will you had every reason to doubt all 3.
Yes, Your Honor.
Grab your tissues, folks. The emotional floodgates open as Mr. Medley Jr. delivers a heart-wrenching testimony about the void left by his father's absence. He directly challenges Mr. Medley Sr., demanding answers to painful questions about neglect and denial of paternity. This poignant moment sets the stage for even more emotional revelations. You'll want to stick around for this.
Without having a father.
It affected me in life. Want to know why he wasn't in my life? Why would you give me your full name? Why would you sign my birth certificate if you deny me as your child? It hurts me like all get out.
Did he really just say that? Mr. Medley Sr. throws a curveball with his defense, delving into a backstory filled with suspicions of infidelity. His tales of a rocky past with the children's mother draw gasps and murmurs from the crowd. This plot twist paints a dramatic backstory leading up to today's paternity disputes. And believe me, it's about to get even wilder.
I went to an audition for a band. The trumpet player was acting kind of strange, like he didn't want me, and I knew everything went well. And as I was leaving, he came to me and he said, he's like, I know this guy is tripping and everything, but I think the reason he's tripping is because he thinks you're here to start some trouble. I'm like, why do I want to start trouble? I'm a drummer. I'm not. He said, well, she has been with him, but he didn't know that she was married.
This moment is a real tearjerker. Mr. Herron lays it all out, confronting Mr. Medley Sr. with a raw and powerful question about his denial and absence during critical life events. This emotional confrontation brings the courtroom to a hushed standstill as everyone absorbs the weight of his words. But keep your eyes peeled, because there's more drama ahead.
His mom came down for Christmases,
birthdays, everything.
Gave us
and she
everything.
treated us like we was her grandkid.
She
told us no matter what your daddy say, you guys are always gonna be my grandkid. Look at me. Do our door not look like you? Honestly. Spitting in it. And you gonna sit up here and say that I'm not your son?
I don't know.
You won't believe what comes next. The drama intensifies as past incidents that scarred the children come to light, including a particularly severe injury that went unsupported by Mr. Medley Sr. The courtroom's tension spikes as these revelations lead to harsh criticisms of Mr. Medley Sr.'s fatherly duties, or lack thereof. And just when you think you've seen it all, there's more.
And in the 80s, we did not have DNA. We had blood tests. I tried to get blood tests, but now just a swab of the mouth, so there's no pain in that.
Well, there is a lot of pain here, I have to say. I see it. Whether you are or you aren't their biological father, you have to recognize that.
I've been through a lot also.
Here comes the big reveal. In a climactic moment, Judge Lake delivers the DNA test results, confirming Mr. Medley Sr.'s paternity for both Mr. Herron and Mr. Medley Jr. The courtroom erupts in a mix of vindication and new challenges. This pivotal moment is not just a reveal, but a gateway to even more unexpected developments. Stay tuned, the excitement continues.
It has been determined by this court, you are the father. Moving on to the results for Victor Medley Jr. It has been determined by this court that you are the father.
Talk about a plot twist. After the DNA bombshells, Mr. Medley Sr.'s response hints at reconciliation, but quickly spirals into blame and conflict over the mother's alleged lifestyle. This leads to a heated and revealing exchange about values and responsibility. And guess what? The emotional fireworks are far from over.
They would receive you. Yes, yes. Yes.
Love you, man.
Expect the unexpected. In a stunning turn of events, the DNA results.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Medley Sr., you are not her father.
Okay.
Ms. McDaniel claims she was deceived into having a baby by Mr. Lennon, who denies fathering the child and calls her promiscuous. The court session opens with these allegations, setting a tense atmosphere as the conflict between the two parties is immediately evident. The drama unfolds as Ms. McDaniel takes the stand, and you won't believe the roller coaster that awaits.
Ms. McDaniel, you say you were tricked into having a baby by the defendant, Mr. Lennon, but once you got pregnant, he ditched you and immediately denied he fathered your baby. Mr. Lennon, you say plaintiff is nothing but a promiscuous gold digger and there is no way you're her son's biological father. You suggest she contact the multiple men she slept with during the window of conception and return to court with the real daddy.
Well, that escalated quickly. Ms. McDaniel asserts that Mr. Lennon planned to get her pregnant despite his denials. She is emotional as she recounts how Mr. Lennon expressed a desire to have a biological child of his own, which she believed implicated him in planning their child. Hang tight, because Mr. Lennon's comeback is just around the corner. And it's a doozy.
He was the one to plan to have me pregnant, Your Honor.
He wanted a baby?
Yes. He told me that he wanted to have a child, which was biologically his, because he have two that's not his. And he's the daddiest because he signed a birth certificate.
You know, Your Honor, that's not true. When I met her off of a site. From me meeting her from a site, I wanted to see what kind of person she is and see if she wanted to have a life.
Did he really just say that? Mr. Lennon shares a personal story about the loss of a child, which he uses to explain his cautious cautious approach to relationships, and his desire to see what kind of person Ms. McDaniel was before committing. The emotional reveal is heart-tugging, but keep your eyes peeled for what's coming next. It's a real eye-opener.
Your Honor, I had a 2-year-old child that passed in my life, and that kind of hurt. For me trying to pick up with my life, I wanted to meet somebody that was kind of good. So when I got up with her, it was like a simple point was like, I wanted to see what kind of lifestyle she was.
But did you not ask
But
for
also,
sex?
too, we had sex when we was coming down the road, and then...
Sex was the first night I met Mr. Leonard.
So wait, you all met online?
We met online, Your Honor.
You can't make this stuff up. The court laughs as a misunderstanding is cleared up regarding their first physical encounter, which happened spontaneously on the side of the road soon after meeting. This revelation highlights the impulsive beginnings of their relationship. Brace yourself. The courtroom's reaction to the next revelation will have you on the edge of your seat.
We pulled over, we had sex on the road. But then when we got to my house after we had sex, the first
all
thing...
on his mind when he hit me up.
Hold on. Let me understand this. Looking for love or looking for lust?
Looking for love, for really.
So tell me the first time you all met, what happened?
When we met online and stuff, we decided, we was talking, decided to get up.
He hit me in my DM, asking for my number. I gave him my number. He started texting me.
You won't believe this twist. Ms. McDaniel and Mr. Lennon recount their first meeting, which quickly led to a sexual relationship. This moment underscores the casual nature of their initial interaction and sets the stage for the ensuing complications. But just wait until you hear what's next. It's about to get even more tangled.
Him wanting to be my boyfriend, which I quote-unquote my sugar daddy.
That's not true.
Your sugar daddy?
My sugar daddy.
Oh, no.
What's
42.
the age difference here, 42?
Yeah.
And you
27. So a sugar daddy.
Were you looking for a sugar daddy?
Me, I was looking for somebody to really be my boyfriend / a father figure in my life. So quote, yes, that's how he became attracted to me, because I never had a father figure in my life.
Talk about a plot twist. Mr. Lennon discusses his past experiences with paternity disputes, which have left him wary of committing without proof. This confession introduces his distrust and fear of being misled again. But hold your applause, because the testimony from Mr. Lennon's cousin will throw another curveball into the mix.
But you signed the birth
certificate. No, I did not sign no birth certificate.
So why you tell me that?
I did not tell you that.
You said that you got 2 kids that's not yours, that you signed the birth
Your
certificate
Honor,
for.
I did not
Your mother don't want the same thing to happen with this child. And I told
do not
my
want
sister
me to
about
get
it.
hurt like I did twice before.
I
Being
told my
hurt by-
sister all about it, Your Honor. Everything. I tell my sister everything.
Is this your sister here?
Yes, Your Honor.
I want to hear from you, ma'am. Please stand up to the podium.
Now here's a spicy addition. Mr. Lennon's cousin, Cynthia Powell, testifies, accusing Ms. McDaniel of dishonesty and infidelity during her stay with Mr. Lennon. This adds another layer of complexity and doubt to the paternity issue. As the plot thickens, get ready for the DNA results. They're just moments away and will knock your socks off.
She's lying. The
So-
time that Maurice was
Baby,
on
you
work,
was
I
there
was
a week, and how you end up pregnant? Baby, get it right.
The time that I was staying with Mr. Leonard, yeah, he would leave about 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning.
Going to work.
Return back from work at 6, but I never left that house. I stayed in his house.
Baby, you're lying. You left the
I
home.
stayed in the house.
You left
The
the
only
home.
time I left was to go across the street to ask her for a cigarette.
And here's the big reveal. The climax of the episode occurs as Judge Lake reads the DNA test results, revealing,
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lennon, you are not father.
That's right.
Like I told you. I told you.
Can you handle what's about to go down? Ms. Fuller blows the courtroom away with a jaw-dropping reveal from her mother's final moments, claiming the guy on her birth certificate isn't her real dad, but instead a famous crooner is. As she unravels this startling confession, it marks the beginning of her quest to unearth her true heritage. Buckle up, because the ride only gets wilder from here.
She confessed your dad was not the man listed on your birth certificate. You claim she then told you that your biological father was actually a well-known singer who was also the love of her life. Now, while you have doubts whether he is actually your biological father, you confess he's your last hope.
Things are getting thick now. Ms. Fuller digs into her tumultuous childhood memories, revealing the earth-shattering moment the man she believed was her dad declared he wasn't. This bomb was dropped on her twice, first as a suspicion, then confirmed by her mom when she turned 13, adding that her biological dad was no longer alive. Strap in. The emotional roller coaster is just picking up speed.
And he's told me, he said, I'm not your father. That was something that was just really devastating to me in my life. And he wasn't my real father, and that my father was dead, actually. Not to tell my sisters, but just that's something that she wanted me to, and I took and carried that with me for a long time. I'm 47 years old. I'd like some answers.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. As her mom's life was drawing to a close, she whispered that Cornelius might actually be Ms. Fuller's biological dad, armed with just a name and a clue about a saxophone-playing lover. Ms. Fuller dives headfirst into a detective quest. What she uncovers next is nothing short of a soap opera.
She told me that really my father didn't know who that was, and that's who I think your father is. After she passed, I went online to find out who he is, possibly.
So she just gave you a name?
She gave me a name, and she said that basically that he was a saxophone player, he was a musician. I found a record in her stuff when I was going through her stuff.
You'll want to see this encounter. In an electrifying moment, brimming with emotion, Ms. Fuller finally comes face to face with Mr. Neal in the courtroom. Their first interaction is charged with potential and heavy with history. The scene that follows, even more heart-stirring.
Can I hug you?
Mr. Neal, thank you so much for being here today.
Yes.
You won't believe what he says next. Mr. Neal opens up about his whirlwind romance with Ms. Fuller's mother, Lorraine, during the socially turbulent 60s. Their love story faced societal judgments and ended in separation, leaving lingering what-ifs. Just when you think you've heard it all, there's more.
When she came down to the club, I would take her home. She lived in the other part of town.
In a nutshell, during the time you dated, that had to be the 60s, right?
Yeah.
When you were saying that dating interracially was a challenge and often frowned upon.
Yes.
You were on opposite sides of the track and different races.
Yes.
This just keeps getting better. Ms. Fuller whips out a timeline her adoptive father put together to dodge paternity claims, which lists potential candidates as her real dad. This document adds layers to her complex family saga. And guess what? The plot thickens even further ahead.
You knew nothing of the song?
No, not until I found the record and her stuff. The father I knew to be, he gave me a timeline of people who possibly be my father. Him trying to dismiss the fact that he was my father.
And this is, ma'am?
It's a timeline that my father presented to, I think, the county, because I think he was trying to acknowledge that he was not the father of me.
Are you ready for more? As they dissect their past and ponder the likelihood of Mr. Neal being her father, both are tangled in a web of uncertainty and hope. This pivotal discussion lays the groundwork for the DNA results that will finally bring clarity, and the big reveal is just moments away.
Mr. Neal, you are not Miss Fuller's father.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Miss Fuller.
It's okay. It's okay.
Miss Bryson has brought her ex-boyfriend, Mr. McCarroll, to court to prove he is the father of her 18-month-old son, despite her own multiple relationships. This moment sets the stage for the dispute and the emotional tone of the episode. Strap in, because you won't believe the roller coaster of emotions that's about to unfold.
Defendant, your ex-boyfriend, Mr. McCarroll, into court today because although you admit to having sex with more than one man, you are here with that Mr. McCarroll is the father of your 18-month-old son, Zylan McCarroll. Mr. McCarroll, you say that because of Miss Bryson's admission, you have no choice but to believe that another man is Zylan's biological father.
Hold the phone. Miss Bryson accuses Mr. McCarroll of infidelity and expresses her distrust, claiming his unavailability is due to him being with other women. This accusation highlights the central issue of trust and fidelity within their relationship. And just wait until you hear Mr. McCarroll's jaw-dropping response.
Miss Bryson, what is the nature of your relationship? You're separated?
Yes, ma'am. We're currently separated.
Are you working to get it back on track?
We're not working on getting anything back in track because Mr. McCarroll, he has whorish ways.
Wow.
And he wants me to be a whore like he is, and I'm not that type of person.
Did he just say that? In response to the allegations, Mr. McCarroll denies wanting Miss Bryson to mimic his behavior, reflecting his perspective on the accusations against him. This denial introduces his side of the story, setting up a narrative of misunderstood actions and intentions. The next part is even juicier as the tension builds up.
I have no idea where Miss Bryson gets that from.
Are you just trying to say he cheats on you a lot?
Every time we're together, he cheats. I wanted us to get married, and he doesn't want to do that because he wants to be a whore.
I tried to structure everything about my life, be here in this situation where she would never have to worry about who her baby daddy was or none of that crazy. I was trying to work and go to
anything that he does, Your
so
Honor.
that we could not be here and have question marks over these kids' heads.
It's getting spicy now. A heated argument about Mr. McCarroll not answering his phone when Miss Bryson calls, which she interprets as evidence of cheating. This detail underscores the breakdown in communication and trust that plagues their relationship. The saga continues, and trust me, it gets more tangled.
When he did find a job while we was together, I was supposed to bring his lunch in for him. I called him, he didn't answer, and I know him. Anytime he don't answer the phone, it's a woman involved. And sure enough, it was. Friend, his best friend still to this day. They cheat together. They do everything together, okay? They do everything together. He was with
wait a minute. You can't even read a book.
Yes, no, ma'am. I was reading, I believe it was James' autobiography some years ago.
You can't make this stuff up. While trying to enjoy a personal activity, Mr. McCarroll faces accusations of cheating just because he was quiet and downstairs, illustrating the pervasive mistrust and the suffocating nature of their relationship dynamics. The stakes get higher as evidence is dramatically presented next.
Come downstairs, huffing and puffing. I've been downstairs too long. I'm too quiet. I'm reading a book. What you want me to do, man?
The reason I came downstairs, I heard him on the phone with a girl that he had currently slept with. And we got into it about that situation.
Man.
I talked to her. He was telling her she upstairs sleep with the baby. When I get a chance to get out, I'm gonna come over and we gon'
I don't know where
and
you
he's
got
like,
that story. I want to take a lot of
it's always, I'm dumb, I don't know nothing. Like he over here talking now like I'm the bad guy.
You thought you'd seen it all? Miss Bryson presents a conception calendar as proof of Mr. McCarroll's paternity, marking significant dates that could determine the father of her child. This evidence is critical as it ties directly to the legal and emotional outcome of the case. Fasten your seatbelt because another curveball is heading straight our way.
You're handing a calendar.
Ma'am, that's a conception calendar. Based on that calendar, I could see my son on April the 28th.
In blue is the date you were intimate with Mr. McCarroll.
Yes, ma'am.
Actual
And
date.
now
I want to
in
know how
pink,
you know that.
you have outlined the window of conception that you calculate. How did you get these dates?
Where his dot is? Oh, his circle over.
I actually went online because when I found out that I was pregnant, I had currently went to the doctor a week before. I was trying to have a son.
Talk about a plot twist. Mr. Perkins is introduced into the courtroom to discuss his potential paternity of Zylan. This development adds complexity to the case, revealing the intertwined relationships and the impact of Miss Bryson's decisions on all involved parties. The revelations coming up will blow your mind, and not in the way you expect.
Do you believe you are Zylan's biological father?
No, I do not, Your Honor. Because at the same time she was with me, she was messing around with him. I lost my train of thought just thinking about this stuff.
It makes you upset.
Yeah, because I found out that she was messing around. So she told me she was 99% sure that he was the father. It's a possibility that I could be.
Did you know she was still sleeping with Mr. McCarroll when she was with you?
No.
Grab your popcorn, here it comes, the climax of the episode where the DNA results are revealed, determining that neither Mr. McCarroll nor Mr. Perkins is the father of Zylan. This moment is pivotal as it resolves the paternity question, but opens up new emotional and relational challenges. Watch as the courtroom deals with this earth-shattering news.
When it comes to 18-month-old Zylan McCarroll, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Perkins, you are not the father. When it comes to 18-month-old Zylan McCarroll, it has been determined by this court, Mr. McCarroll, you are not the father.
Man, case closed. I ain't got no more to say. Say no more.
Just when you think you've seen it all, following the shocking DNA results.
Do you know?
Yes, ma'am. I obviously got pregnant in May. I thought I got pregnant in April. I was real early, so I know who it is. I was trying to have a son and I wasn't thinking.
Who were you trying to have a son with?
Initially, I wanted one with him, but he wasn't ready. Like I said, I had to beg him. He wasn't ready to settle down. I was promiscuous, okay?
You made the decision you were gonna sleep around with anybody and then you're gonna get a son.
Right, I did. It was a dumb decision.
This concerns me. You gotta stop this.
Get ready for some courtroom drama. Judge Lake introduces the case as Stockley vs. Tucker. The court clerk, Jerome, sets the stage, and the audience responds with a friendly, good day. The formal introduction sets the tone for the upcoming legal and emotional exchanges, highlighting the importance of what's about to be unraveled. You're in for quite the story, so keep your eyes peeled.
This is the case of Stockley versus Tucker.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Miss Stokely, you say you feel pain and guilt in your heart for claiming the wrong man was your daughter, Waikia's biological father, for the past 23 years. You are here to right your wrong and now prove to the defendant is her dad.
You might want to sit down for this one. Mr. Tucker shows his doubt about being Waikia's dad, having only been informed of this possibility a few months ago. His skepticism adds a thick layer of tension and uncertainty to the proceedings, weaving a complex web of emotions and doubts around the paternity question. Get ready as the plot thickens with Waikia's backstory coming up next.
You say you were first told you were Waikia's dad only a few months ago. You and your daughter Candace say there is no way today's DNA will reveal you are Waikia's biological father. Is that correct?
Your Honor, I don't know nothing about that, Your Honor.
Okay.
Here's a twist that tugs at the heartstrings. Waikia shares her childhood memories of hearing Mr. Tucker's name whispered as a potential father. This revelation deepens her character, showing the lifelong burden burden of not knowing her true parentage. The emotional depth here sets the stage for more revelations and a bit of a showdown that's about to unfold.
I always heard that it was a possibility that another guy might be my father. Even before I knew what a possibility was, this how long ago this was. All my life, I heard about this guy.
Well, I always knew Mr. Tucker could have been Wakia's father. At the time, I was in a relationship with my ex that was living with me. I always knew he could have been her father.
Things are heating up now. A sharp exchange sparks as Mr. Tucker questions the validity of Ms. Stockley's claims, leading to a terse and charged confrontation. This intense moment illustrates the complex personal dynamics and the emotional stakes involved in the case. Buckle up. The drama escalates with a crucial snowstorm backstory next.
You never knew anything about it?
No, only saw Wakia since she was 8 years old, and that was it.
You remember seeing Mr. Tucker when you were 8 years old?
Yes, I do.
Can you describe that encounter for the court?
Because I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember I was coming out of and we bumped into this guy, and this guy looked down over top of me, looked me in my face and said, "Do you know who I am? My name Willie." And I said, "I'm Mr. Willie." And he said, "No, tell her who I am." And then
Cue the dramatic flashback. Mrs. Stockley recounts a significant snowstorm where she and Mr. Tucker were trapped together, leading to intimate encounters that are central to Wakia's conception story. This crucial piece of the puzzle ties the dramatic personal narrative to the timeline of Wakia's birth. Hang tight, as the factual backbone of this story is verified next.
So, Ms. Stokely, you say the reason you feel guilty is because you had another man believing he was Wakia's father?
Yes, Your Honor. I was living with my ex-boyfriend at the time. I got stuck in a snowstorm with Mr. Tucker, and I had sex with both males, but I don't know if I went in the snowstorm pregnant. I got pregnant in the snowstorm.
Or if you came out of the snowstorm pregnant.
I'm not sure. Yes, Your Honor. I'm not sure how I went in.
Okay, but the bottom line is that's when you were with Mr. Tucker.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, this will knock your socks off. Judge Lake confirms the snowstorm dates through historical weather data, linking them precisely to the conception timeline. This factual verification lends a scientific edge to the emotionally charged testimony, setting the stage for a crucial moment of truth with the conception calculation just around the corner.
And so during those entire 3 days, you were intimate?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know when the snowstorm was?
February, March.
If I'm calculating right, that would be 93.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you guys were in Philadelphia?
Philadelphia, yes.
From Philadelphia. The snowstorm blizzard of 1993, Philadelphia. It says Philadelphia blizzard of 1993, the worst snowstorm in years, largest snowfall in the county. Snowstorm shut city down from March 12th.
The tension is palpable. Using a conception calculator, the court pinpoints Wakia's likely conception dates, which match the snowstorm timeline. This scientific confirmation moves us closer to resolving the paternity mystery, blending personal narratives with empirical evidence. The climax of this saga is next, revealing who the real father is.
Put in your birth date into this conception calculator and push calculate. The window of conception would be March 12th to March 18th. Sounds like things may have been heating up during that snowstorm. So, Miss Stokely.
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you with any other men during that time?
Yes, I was, Your Honor. I was with my ex that was my boyfriend at the time.
Hold on to your popcorn. This is the big reveal. In an emotionally charged climax, Judge Lake announces that
it has been determined by this Mr. Tucker. You are the father.
Here we go. It's showtime with the case of Alston versus Holmes hitting the courtroom floor. Ms. Alston strides in, claiming Mr. Holmes might be her biological dad instead of the man whose name's been chilling on her birth certificate all these years, Mr. Alston. Mr. Holmes is shaking his head, totally not buying it, betting all his chips that the DNA test will shout, "Not the father." This courtroom drama is just getting started.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Alston versus Holmes.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
Good day.
Ms. Alston, you've come to court to prove to the defendant, Mr. Holmes, whom you first met at the age of 15, that you are his biological daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Alston drops a bombshell right out of the gate. She brings us back to her teenage years at 15, telling us a story about how she grew up with Mr. Alston's name on her birth certificate, believing he was her real dad, all while Mr. Alston was out there signing checks for child support. Strap in, folks. It looks like we're in for a wild ride through family drama lane.
You say her biological father is David Alston, the man who is on her birth certificate and paid child support for her. Ms. Alston, tell us how you first found out the defendant might be your father.
Well, Mr. Austin and my mom were married, so as a child.
Mr. Holmes jumps into the fray with some spicy details about his fleeting flings back in the day, casting major doubts about his role in this parental plot twist. He tells a tale of casual encounters and forgotten follow-ups, suggesting he was more of a cameo in Ms. Alston's mom's life than a main character. Buckle up, because this paternity puzzle is only getting more tangled.
He was like fast, and because I met her at the school bus stop. She was in high school. 2 days later, after I met her, I had sex with her. I called her again a couple days later, asked her to come back, and we had sex again. So it was kind of like a booty call. Yeah, I didn't know nothing about her until 15 years later.
Ms. Alston lays her heart on the line, sharing how she felt ditched by Mr. Alston despite the legal documents declaring him dad. On the flip side, she talks about how Mr. Holmes' family welcomed her with open arms, doubts or no doubts. There's enough emotional baggage here to fill a cargo plane, and we're just starting to unpack.
What was your relationship like with Mr. Alston? Explain that.
Your Honor, I hate to say this, but I hate him. I do, because he abandoned me and left me.
So when you say Mr. Alston abandoned you, did you try to have a relationship with him and he rejected you? How did he abandon you?
I tried to have a relationship with him and spend time with him. He wouldn't have time for me. I would visit his family members and he wouldn't be around.
Enter Mr. David Alston, the man on the birth certificate, looking as shocked as a cat in a bathtub. He's been in the dad zone for years, totally clueless that there's been any question about his paternity. Oh boy, this is getting juicier by the minute. Don't touch that dial.
I think it's time we meet Mr. Alston. Jerome, will you please escort him in? This is the man on your birth certificate?
Yes.
And you tried to have a relationship with him?
Yes, I just wanted to be loved.
Thank you for joining us today. I'd like to have you explain to the court. She was told for the first 15 years of her life that you were her biological father, and then all of a sudden she was given another name. What do you know about it?
15 years ago? No, I just found out now.
So you're saying that up until recently, you still considered her your daughter?
Yes, that's my daughter.
Hold your horses, folks, because the DNA results are in. Drum roll, please.
Mr. Alston, you are not Miss Alston's
Get
father.
Why is she doing that?
Lord Hammers.
The courtroom buzzes into action as the judge firmly instructs everyone to sit down. The episode kicks off with the judge calling the court to order and greeting everyone warmly. The case Luce vs. Zuniga is announced, involving a somewhat quirky dispute over childcare expenses. Just when you think you've seen it all, this case comes along.
Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello, Jerome.
This is the case of Luce versus Zuniga.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. Ms. Luce, you are suing the defendant for $2,716.86 back child care expenses for your son, Marley.
There's a definite spark in the air as Ms. Luce takes the stand. The plaintiff, Ms. Luce, confidently claims she is owed $2,116.86 for back child care expenses by Mr. Zuniga, the defendant. She asserts, without a shadow of a doubt, that Mr. Zuniga is the father of her son, Marley, and firmly dismisses the need for a paternity test. Brace yourself, because Mr. Zuniga's comeback is a doozy.
You're certain he is your baby's father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Zuniga, you say you don't owe her a dime because you're not her son's father. You've petitioned the court for a lie detector test and a paternity test because not only are you not his father, but you claim to know who his real daddy is.
Hold on to your hats, folks. Mr. Zuniga counters Ms. Luce's allegations with a bombshell, vehemently denying paternity. He demands both a lie detector test and a paternity test, claiming he knows who the real father is and is certain it isn't him. It's about to get even spicier in this courtroom drama.
The court will reveal the results of the lie detector test and determine if a paternity test should be ordered. Why do you feel like Mr. Zuniga has completely abandoned you and your son?
For the first 4 months of my son's life, he was there. He stepped up. He was a man. He wanted to be his father. He was excited about everything.
Cue the emotional music. Ms. Luce recounts how Mr. Zuniga initially stepped up as Marley's father and supported her, only to abandon them later. She details the financial burdens she faced alone, covering every need from diapers to clothes, making it sound like a one-woman army on a shopping spree. Stick around. The plot thickens.
He abandoned us. I had to take care of my son alone on my own. I had for every little bit of the expenses, all the diapers, all the wipes, every single piece of clothing he needed. I have the receipts here. I've had to do it all alone, and I feel as if he owes me at least half of the money that I've had to put into raising my child alone.
As Mr. Zuniga tells his side, things take a turn for the melodramatic. He admits to initially showering Ms. Luce and Marley with his tax refund, but claims he stopped due to doubts about his paternity. Ms. Luce acknowledges his contributions, but emphasizes that they were short-lived and insufficient. The court courtroom is simmering with anticipation for what's next.
Have you helped at all with Marley?
Yeah.
Any money, any financial support?
Well, yeah, I did. At first, I spent all my tax money. Last year, I got substantial amount, and I spent every dime on him. I didn't spend one dime on myself.
Ms. Luce, true, has he given any money?
He might have put money into a crib. He might have put money into the little things he needed then, but he didn't do anything else after that.
Mr. Zuniga dishes out some serious drama. He voices his doubts about being the father based on Ms. Luce's past relationships and his own tragic medical history, suggesting his sporting injuries might have left him sterile. The courtroom is hanging on every word, wondering where this telenovela will twist next.
Well, I found out that she never really stayed in relationships long, and that she liked to jump from guy to guy.
Miss Luz, were you sleeping with other men when you were sleeping with Mr. Zuniga?
No, I did sleep with a few men after, but I was only sleeping with him when we were together.
Okay,
but
Mr. Zuniga, do you have any other children?
No, ma'am. I've always thought I was sterile. Putting the long relationships aside and trying to have, kids with them and consulting doctors. I've had a lot of sports-related injuries.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more dramatic, Mr. Zuniga accuses Ms. Luce of cheating, specifically with a man who apparently matches their son's physical traits. This allegation, based on neighborhood gossip and his eagle-eyed observations, really stirs the pot. Watch out for the audience's reaction. It's priceless.
That thing's probably still broke right now.
Oh, so you believe she was going over to this other gentleman's house and he wasn't a brother figure, he was really...
There's this one instance where this lady came up to me and she told me that while I was with her, she was cheating on me the whole time with her husband. And he looks just like the father, red hair and blue eyes.
The judge chimes in with a reality check, questioning the wisdom of their fleeting and unprotected liaison. Ms. Luce is gently scolded for potentially living up to her last name, hinting at a reputation she might not want to acknowledge. The audience is all ears, eagerly awaiting the next twist in this saga.
As far as I know, she could have been pregnant before I even got with her.
Why are you young people running around having unprotected sex with people you knew for 2 weeks? Miss Luce, you worrying me now. Because no, you're a beautiful young girl and I don't want you living up to your last name. So, Miss Luce, you brought a witness today. Who did you bring?
His mother.
Jerome?
In a surprising twist of events, Mr. Zuniga's mother, Ms. Vertigan, takes the stand and sides with Ms. Luce. She testifies against her own son, supporting Ms. Luce's claims with observations about family resemblances and shared medical histories. This family feud just got a guest star, and she's not holding back.
Your Honor, I didn't want him sleeping with nobody.
She told me herself that she was that age.
She didn't even speak to me and found out I was
wouldn't even
pregnant
speak to
because she
her.
thought I was just a fling.
Because my son goes through women like toilet paper. I did not want to speak to her. But Your Honor, if you look at those pictures, their eyes look so much alike and they have the same features, the dark circles. My grandson was born with jaundice. My son has a muscle spasm in his eye.
Brown hair.
My grandson has a muscle spasm in his eye.
A pivotal photo is displayed showing Mr. Zuniga holding the baby, a stark contradiction to his claims of non-involvement. This visual evidence sparks a heartfelt discussion about the emotional stakes involved. The audience can't help but lean in as the emotional roller coaster climbs.
So if you signed the birth certificate, that I would presume that you thought it looked like.
Babies don't look like nobody when they're born.
We have in the monitor a picture of you holding the baby.
Well, I'm not a jerk, Your Honor. I didn't have a dad.
You agreed to give him your last name.
Yes.
I didn't give him my last name.
This
She
is
did that
important.
without my
Hold on.
consent.
Yes,
this is
Ms.
important.
Vertigan, what you need to say.
He was so upset we couldn't make it. He was mad. He was throwing things around in the house. He was upset we couldn't leave right then and there to watch his son be born because his dad wasn't there.
Buckle up for the lie detector results. The lie detector test suggests Ms. Luce was not entirely truthful about her exclusivity with Mr. Zuniga during their relationship. This bombshell leads the judge to order a paternity test to conclusively settle this soap opera. The courtroom holds its breath for the grand reveal.
Has been determined by this court, Mr. Zuniga, you are his father.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. Kristen, you say you're sorry. You tell him you're sorry.
Look at him.
And you tell him you're sorry. Look at him. Maybe that's yours.
But you lied.
Okay, but look.
I may
All right,
have
we're
lied
getting over
compared
that.
to
We're getting
whatever
over that.
test says it. He is your son.
The courtroom buzzes with suspense as the case of Stanley versus Williams is announced. Everyone's settling in, Jerome's on point as usual, and the courtroom rituals kick off.
You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Stanley versus Williams.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone.
Ms. Stanley drops a courtroom bombshell, claiming Mr. Williams is definitely not the father of her son, Ryan Alexander. Despite their past fling, she's betting all her chips that today's paternity results will back her up. Everyone's leaning in, wondering if the DNA will spill the tea.
Miss Stanley, you have dragged your former fling, Mr. Williams, to court for a paternity test. Prove he did not father your 3-year-old son, Ryan Alexander. You admit to being intimate at the time of conception, but say today's results prove your son does not have DNA.
Mr. Williams fires back with passion, arguing that little Ryan Alexander means the world to him. He throws shade, suggesting Ms. Stanley is just trying to edge him out because there's a new guy on her scene. The courtroom's heating up with these spicy allegations.
You say baby Ryan Alexander is the most important person in your life and claim the only reason Ms. Stanley is doubting that Ryan Alexander is your son is because she has a new man in her life and doesn't want you around. Is that true?
That's correct.
Here's where the plot thickens. Was it love or just a fling? The air gets tense as the nature of their relationship is dissected. Mr. Williams thought wedding bells were in their future, while Ms. Stanley labels the whole thing a colossal error. Eyes are popping as the story unfolds.
This was more like sexual type kind of relationship.
Relationship.
I never loved him. It was a mistake.
Your Honor, excuse me, she's wrong with that one. She's a liar.
What? How did you see the relationship, Mr. Williams?
Had us planned out getting married. She had us planned out get the cake. She had us planned out get I was taking her kids back and forth to school almost every day. I've done everything for her and them kids.
Enter the evidence. Done, done, done. Mr. Williams' Aunt Mary steps up with some juicy texts about marriage plans, which Ms. Stanley swears she never sent. It's a he said, she said showdown, and the courtroom is here for it.
Jerome, will you hand me that proof?
This here is where she was texting me off of Facebook, asked me if I was Chris's aunt, and that they were going to get married, and she wanted me to do the wedding because I am a community chap. And I told her, yeah, and she asked me how much would I charge. I told her nothing because it's my nephew, wanting somebody to try to use.
So this is a message, a text message from Ms. Stanley?
Yes, ma'am.
Chaos erupts, voices are raised, and the judge has to hammer down for some order. Aunt Mary isn't just here to watch. She's got photos claiming Mr. Williams and Ryan are practically twins. Grab your popcorn, folks. It's getting wild.
I don't care.
If that was his son,
just like him out, butt.
Understand you raised him as your son, and you're here today, and everyone is going to get an opportunity to present their case. Ms. Combs, you did say that at some point Ms. Stanley told you he was the father of Ryan Alexander. Is that true?
She's always told me since the boy was born that it was his. There was not a question that he belonged to somebody else.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, another message surfaces. Ms. Stanley allegedly praising Mr. Williams as a fab dad. She's calling foul, suggesting some Facebook foul play. The plot thickened, the courtroom riveted.
And so this is another message you say Ms. Stanley sent you. He is really good with my kids and Ryan loves his daddy. Ms. Stanley, did you send this message?
No, Your Honor, I did not, because he had access to my cell phone.
That didn't come from cell phone, baby doll. It came from the messages that you sent me on Facebook.
Exactly, access to my Facebook, which is downloaded on my phone.
Mrs. Stanley admits to the hookup timeline with Mr. Williams, right around the baby-making window, but sticks to her guns about him not being the daddy. The layers of their relationship, or lack thereof, are peeled back, leaving the crowd buzzing.
You understand that, right?
He could be a potential father, but I do not think he is the father of my child.
So you're with the other man. How do you end up with Mr. Williams?
We met at my cousin's place. We were living in a trailer where Mr. Williams would come and visit with me. At that time, that's when I conceived Ryan Alex, is when me and my ex was split up.
Mr. Williams shares his side of the birth story, missing out because no one called him about the emergency C-section. It's a sob story that has the audience whispering. Will this sway sympathy his way?
No, ma'am, I wasn't, because for one, she wouldn't even call me to let me know she was having an emergency C-section at the hospital. I didn't know nothing about it the next day.
It's kind of hard to let you know anything, Mr. Williams, whenever I was put under sedation.
Let's not argue. Let's just get the facts. Did you not inform him on purpose?
I did.
You did. And why didn't you want him there?
Because I did not want him there because he is very disrespectful. He cusses me in front of my children.
It's confession time. Mrs. Stanley thinks the other guy is the real dad because, well, they were more of an item. The judge is all ears, and so is everyone else. This paternity puzzle just keeps building.
Do you think he's the father?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Why do you believe that?
Because I had slept with him more than I slept with Mr. Williams.
You're a liar. You're a straight, low-down liar.
You feel like this man has a greater probability of being the father because you slept with him more often.
Yes, Your Honor.
Plot twist with a dash of heart. Mr. Jennings, the current beau, steps into the spotlight, ready to dad up regardless of the DNA. He's been playing dad for 2 years, and he's not stepping down now, no matter what the test says. The courtroom nods in approval.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Williams, you are not his father.
Awesome.
The courtroom is buzzing with anticipation as everyone takes their seats. The court session kicks off with the judge, fondly known as Your Honor, briskly calling the session to order and warmly welcoming everyone, including the somewhat bemused defendant, Jerome. They're diving into the intriguing case of Clary versus Asinato. Oh, the drama that awaits.
Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello, Jerome.
This is the case of Clary versus Asinato.
Thank you. Good day, everyone.
Ms. Clary strides confidently to the podium, her heels clicking on the courtroom floor. She's ready to throw down the legal gauntlet, petitioning the court for a paternity test to nail down Mr. Asinato as the father of her son Gage, who apparently has a shopping list of medical needs. She's also here to claim a cool $15,000 in back child support. Buckle up, this is about to get as spicy as a courtroom drama can get.
You are petitioning the court for a paternity test to prove to the defendant that he is the father of your son Gage, who has multiple medical needs. You say Mr. Asinato owes you $5,000 in child support, and you demand he pays you what he owes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Enter Mr. Asinato, who looks like he's ready for a showdown at the OK Corral rather than a courtroom. He firmly disputes any responsibility for payments, vehemently claiming there's no proof he's the father, and boldly announces he's armed with bombshell evidence to prove his point. He's planning to hit back with a legal vengeance and get that $15,000 child support claim wiped clean. The plot thickens, and you won't believe what's coming next.
You say there's no reason to pay any money for a child that you know is not yours, and claim to have bombshell evidence to prove that you're not the father. You state that when you return home, you'll go back to court to have the $15,000 you owe erased from your record.
The judge, keeping the courtroom in check, dives straight into the gritty details. She grills Mr. Asinato about his daring move to sign the birth certificate, which pretty much pins him down as the dad in the eyes of the law. He explains with a mix of regret and disbelief that he was tricked into signing it under the impression that Gage was his mini-me. Oh, the intrigue. And just when you think it's all clear, the twists keep coming.
No way that I owe $15,000 on a child that's not
He
mine.
signed the birth certificate.
She's basically roped me into signing a birth certificate for a child that she told me that was mine and has taken me to court for child support. I've paid almost $15,000 in child support.
So you admit you do owe the child support?
Not on a child that's not mine. No, ma'am.
As they unravel their tangled history, it turns out Ms. Clary and Mr. Asinato weren't just neighbors, but got quite cozy while both were on a break from their respective spouses. They kicked off their complicated love saga under the same roof, with divorce papers still warm from the printer. This backstory is more tangled than last year's Christmas lights, and there's more drama around the corner.
Tell me about the first night you all were intimate. How did this relationship begin?
We were hanging out next door. We were all friends, drinking, having watching movies, and everybody left except for me, and one thing kind of led to another. He made a pass at me, and
so you began a sexual relationship?
Correct.
How long did it continue before you found out you were pregnant?
That was in 2007. My son was born in 2011.
Oh, 4 years?
Exactly.
So you all were living next door to one another for 4 years?
No, ma'am. That's when we first met.
Ms. Clary sets the record straight about her living situation when Gage entered the world, countering Mr. Asinato's claim that they weren't shacking up when Gage was conceived. It seems their timelines are as mismatched as socks from a dryer. Hold on to your hats. The revelations are just heating up.
Well, she said that when her son was born, she was living with you. That was right.
Yes, ma'am.
So what you're saying is when her son was conceived, she was not living
No,
with you.
ma'am, she was not.
You don't know if she was sleeping with someone else or not?
I do know for a fact that she was with somebody else.
Oh, what do you know?
I know Crystal. Crystal was married when she came to my house on the first night.
But you
slept
know,
with
Your
me.
Honor, gentleman he's talking about, while we were not together, I was dating somebody else, and we split up 2 months prior to me getting pregnant with my son.
Just when you think you've heard it all, their relationship status gets even murkier amidst a fiery exchange. It's revealed that their so-called fling stretched over 8 tumultuous years. Mr. Asinato paints it as a casual affair, while Ms. Clary insists it was anything but casual. This romantic roller coaster has more loops than a theme park ride, and the next dip is a doozy.
Your Honor, we've never been together. It's just
But
basically
yeah, we got
a
8
fling.
years together. We lived together multiple times.
So wait, let's get to the birth. I want to get.
Yes,
He was
ma'am.
You
at the
say
hospital.
after found out she was pregnant, you wanted to do the right thing.
I did.
You had her move in.
Yes, ma'am.
When Gage was born, you were living together.
Yes, ma'am.
So
She moved into my house.
did you go to doctor's appointments? Did you
No, he
support
did
her
not,
through
Your
this?
Honor.
Did you go to the hospital when Gage was born?
I did.
He was at the hospital when the baby was. My son was 5 weeks premature and 7'5".
Mr. Asinato pulls out his financial receipts, showing off his child support payments like they're badges of honor, except for those pesky 8 months he was jobless. He laments the financial strain, likening his payments to those of an A-list celebrity rather than an oil field worker. The financial saga is just part of this wild rage, so strap in as the money matters get even messier.
Jerome, will you please pass me Mr. Asinato's? What is this evidence pertaining to?
This is all my payments that I've made except for the 8 months that I've been out of work. The first year I was at my job working in the oil field, it was $1,026 a month for one child.
Your Honor,
I'm not an NBA player. I'm not a movie star. Anyways, regardless of that, she's always making accusations that I'm a deadbeat. I don't pay my child support payments.
The last
that you
6
can
months,
see, I've
because
made
I got
all
it
my
tied back
payments
up in
except
court.
for
The
that
last
first
year, I
8
got it
months.
Now, the court takes a sudden detour into medical territory. Mr. Asinato throws a curveball by questioning the paternity based on Gage's slew of health issues, which seem alien to his family's robust gene pool. This medical mystery adds an unexpected layer to the paternity puzzle. And guess what? It gets even more complicated.
When did your doubt set in and why?
Gage had a lot of medical problems when he was a baby. He had colic, he had ear infections, he had multiple. He had
2 weeks in the hospital. Mr. Asinato never once showed it. He called maybe twice the 2 weeks.
I have a 20-year-old son. My son's never been sick. My son was born at 9 pounds, 8 ounces, okay? This child was born at 6 pounds. My son's never been sick. We don't have any of these sicknesses in my family.
Things take a scholarly turn as thalassemia, a genetic condition affecting Gage, takes center stage. This rare condition common in people of Mediterranean descent, hint, hint, Mr. Asinato, thickens the plot. This genetic cliffhanger is setting us up for a revelation that might just rewrite the entire script.
Your son has a medical issue that he deals with called
thalassemia. It's an inherited, it's a genetic blood disorder, and it comes from people of the Mediterranean.
You brought evidence to explain that, Jerome. Please hand that to me.
Todd is full-blooded Italian.
What evidence is that? She prints it up off of online?
And this is what I do.
Thalassemia.
We're all of a sudden, my son's not his. When we're getting along, he loves his son. That's his son. Or the child support. That's the whole issue.
Evidence says that thalassemia is an inherited blood disorder.
In a modern twist, Ms. Clary pulls out a smartphone app to prove genetic resemblance, claiming it shows Gage as a chip off the old block, Mr. Asinato. He scoffs at the digital evidence as if it's a badly photoshopped meme. But don't put your phones away yet. This techno drama is dialing up to a climax you won't want to miss.
My son looks just like me.
Last December,
last I checked, I was his mother. See, that's my how can you not love that baby? A friend of mine sent me an app to try it. Shows you the comparison, how much Gage looked like Todd whenever he.
What is this app?
You pull up the parents, it does a comparison. And it shows he looks like he has so much.
So you submit photos, you put them in this app, and then the app will calculate the percentage of likeness. This one determined that Gage looks 68.3%
of me.
As emotions surge, the true victim here, little Gage, is caught in the crossfire of this adult drama. Ms. Clary tearfully argues that the ongoing dispute is shredding her son's sense of family and security. It's a heart-tugger, folks, and just when you think it's all about the adults, it's the kid who might just teach them all a lesson.
Regardless, Your Honor, this is what's
the only thing is our son is the one that's suffering. The only reason I agreed to this is because my son is 4. Now he wants to do this because of child support.
I don't want to do this because of child support. I want to do this because of medical.
You know, he waits 4 years. My son is 4. My son knows him. That's his daddy. Gage knows him as his daddy.
And this is really upsetting to you because you feel that it's about money.
Yes, Your Honor.
You don't believe it's about Gage.
Yes, Your Honor, exactly.
As the legal eagle lands, the judge lays down the law about the consequences of signing a birth certificate. It's not just a piece of paper, it's a lifetime subscription to parenthood, complete with monthly payments. The courtroom is thick with anticipation as we gear up for the grand finale.
When it comes to 4-year-old Gage Asinato, Mr. Asinato, you are not his father.
I did not sleep with anyone else. I slept with somebody 2 months prior.
Miss Clary, you had me convinced.
Your Honor, it was 2 months before.
We say in this courtroom, plaintiffs lie, defendants lie, but the DNA doesn't lie. It doesn't.